Okay, so welcome everyone to the new Tilt webinar for today. We have the absolutely amazing Jan Charmer who's going to be talking with us, who has come in straight from Victoria, Australia, which is amazing, and it's lovely to have some Australian teachers here as well. We're absolutely delighted that Jan's going to be talking to us about Classkick, which I would imagine that a lot of people it's new for. So this is superb. Before we start, I just need to make it very clear that we are recording this this meeting. If there's anyone who's not happy about being recorded, please leave now. We'll be encouraging you to leave messages in the chat. If you have any questions, we will pick those up and mention those at the end. If Jan's happy to stay on and answer a few questions. The webinar will last for approximately an hour. If we go over a little bit, that's fine. If you feel that you need to leave, there's no problem at all. Officially, these webinars are organised by the Association for Language Learning and supported by Linguascope. If you haven't heard of the Association for Language Learning, we would really encourage you to find out more. If you just search their website, and you can subscribe for the year. There are many benefits of being part of the Subjects Association for Languages in England, and we'd really encourage you to find out more and to join. The recording of this webinar is going to be going up on my YouTube channel, along with the other webinar recordings that we've done so far. So that's just do a search for Joe Dale 100 and you'll be able to find it. Can I ask everyone to mute their microphones, please, so we don't have the sounds of keyboards and what have you in the background. I will be monitoring the chat and people's microphones as well. We just want to give Jan the best opportunity of not being disturbed or disrupted during the session. But if you have any questions, do put them in the chat, and I will try my best to multitask and to deal with the chat as well as with the seeing that people's microphones and webcams are turned off. That'd be absolutely fantastic. So without further ado, welcome Jan to the Tilt webinar on the 14th of April. We're absolutely delighted that you're here, and we're really looking forward to seeing all the different ways you can use Classkick in a remote learning context. So over to you, Jan.
Thank you very much, Joe. And here I am right within Classkick tool on my PC. It can be opened on an iPad as well, but I'm presenting to you today from within the tool on my PC. And Classkick just seems to me the most wonderful tool that includes everything that I need to be able to do with my students in terms of remote learning. My school has gone to what they're calling Learn at Home, and that started at the end of last term, and tomorrow is our first day with students. And my first classes will be having their assignments presented to them through this tool. I'm currently in an edit mode on an assignment, and it's through the assignments I create that students will access my activities. So my name's Jan Charmer. I teach Japanese in Australia and currently teaching at the primary level. So I'm teaching 5 to 12-year-olds, but I don't see this app being or tool being limited to just young children. Depending on the sorts of tasks you require students, it could be used for any ages. Right at the start here, if you have a device, if you have an iPad, it would be wonderful for you to be able to download this free app, Classkick, and because you will have an opportunity later on in this presentation to test out some of the assignment I have created for you. If you don't have an iPad, it doesn't matter. You will be able to open another screen. If you have Google Chrome, it doesn't seem to work very well in Internet Explorer. So Google Chrome, and you just search for app.classkick.com, and then I'll tell you what you need to do afterwards. You'll need a class code, and I'll talk about them later. Basically, Classkick says that the teacher preps or creates assignments. Students work on their devices at their own pace. It doesn't need the teacher there forwarding pages along. They can work at their own pace. And the really cool feature, I think, is that teachers can see it all. They can see the students actually typing, writing on their screens live in real time, if the teacher's available to see that. And fabulously, the teacher can add feedback live as well. You can access students' assignments once they've finished and add feedback then too, but it's really helpful for students to get feedback straight away, and there's opportunities for them to raise a virtual hand if they require help. So if I move to my next slide, my learning intention for today is that you will understand some of the ways that I've used this Classkick tool, and I'm going to run through a number of samples just to give you a flavour of the sorts of things you can create, but really it's up to your own imagination. I am going to go through the various tools in Classkick, working along this toolbar at the top, to show you how to create the various activities. And then I am going to give you a code so that you can actually experience a demo assignment, just a couple of pages. And then I will finally show you how to actually create an assignment in Classkick and then set it to a roster. We would call it setting it to a class. So that is my plan for today. So if I just go straight into an assignment, this page comes from a Year 6 assignment. They're studying the weather, and this page has various bits of information on it, and I will just show you that the Classkick pages are really pretty long, and students need to be made aware that the teacher could fill up that whole page. So scroll down, messages might be required. On this page, I have only actually included a small amount. But what happens here is I have discovered well, I think I probably already knew, students often do not read instructions. So although I have instructions written, I have also added audio recordings of instructions for students to listen to. And there is a little mic up here, and that is where you can add audio directly from within the app. You don't have to record it elsewhere and import it in. It can all just happen within this tool. So basically the activity here is I have linked to a video, and I'm hoping you can see this.
Hi Jan, we can see that fine. We can't hear it that well, but I'm just when you shared the screen, did you click on the share computer sound bottom left? If not,
no, I forgot.
Yeah, don't worry. Could you unshare your screen quickly and then click share? So if you click stop share, then click share again, but this time bottom left of the screen there's a little square, and if you click on the share computer sound, we'll be able to hear the audio better when you're playing video, etc.
Right. All right, I'll just do that again then. Basically, this video mentions
That's lovely. Yeah, that's lovely. If you could pause. That's it. So that's perfect. So we can hear the video, but please don't try and talk over the top when the video is playing, because we can only hear the video. But now that you've selected computer sound, that's great. Thank you.
So easy to link videos through this link tool here. You just need to add the URL, and it will open for the students in a nice, safe view. And what the students had to do was to highlight the 4 weather terms they heard in the video. And there is a highlighting pen up here. So the other activity was multiple choice, and Classkick offers you the option of including multiple choice. When I set this to students, obviously they will not see the correct option here. This is in my teacher edit view, so I have to indicate which is the correct alternative, and there are always 5 options. So I've added 5 options and nominated that D is the correct alternative. Kaze here means wind. So that is one page of activities. Another page is here, and again I've included audio recordings. What's interesting
no, the video's off. What is that? I'm going to go to, where's Google App Store in this? Google.
It's called Play.
People are talking there in the background. Okay, it's really handy that you can add images and animated GIFs, and I think that catches the students' attentions. Joe, could you turn off the mics, please?
Yeah, can I ask everyone to mute their microphones, please? I'm just going through now. Sorry, Jan.
Thanks, that's all right. It is a bit disconcerting, I realise. So this is teaching children what this kanji symbol means, and it explains it. And I have various animated GIFs to capture their attention, and then students are required to write the symbols, so they need to select a pen tool. Now this works most easily on an iPad if you have a stylus. Many of our students have touchscreen PCs, so they will be able to do it, but it is a little bit tricky to write this way, but better than nothing. Further down the page, I talk about how students make sentences such as, I saw a giraffe. This unit's about, I went to the zoo. And then students actually are asked here to make recordings that say, I saw a zebra or I saw an elephant. And so they have to then select the microphone, make their recording, and then drag them onto the lines. So it's not just me adding audio, students can easily record their own audio as well. And then when I go to check, I can hear what they have individually been able to do. Another activity I have here was done at the end of last term, and I discovered, despite my written instructions and then my audio, students still didn't really understand what they were meant to do with this. And in normal situations, I would demonstrate this in the classroom. So I just created a little tutorial and 皆さん、こんにちは. This page in your Classkick assignment caused a few problems for people, and so I just created a little tutorial to run them through it. Because the program I was using there, Loom, provides you with a URL, that meant I could easily add it directly to this page. This is a writing task, and I realised afterwards that students have trouble if they're only seeing a very small view. So if they increase the screen, then it's much easier to see what it is they are writing. So that was just a handy hint I learnt along the way. This activity is on introducing themselves, grade 3, and they will have to state the year level of these students, having listened to my explanations up here. By the way, I created this little avatar to direct them to my instructions. Down here, again, you can see a multiple choice. But then I've included a link to a new game website that I discovered called EduCandy. I don't know if anybody has seen this. It's in beta mode, but it has some very cute little activities. And all the teacher has to do is to enter questions and answers, basically. And then various game options pop up. So I'm just going to show you this, but you might like to make a note of EduCandy if you think this is something your students might like to have access to. So I'm timed, so I'm under pressure here, and I have to match the Japanese and the English. I can't have images, I do need to have English. The other thing for teachers of Japanese, I cannot change the font. But it gives me a time, and then I could challenge myself to try to do that faster. As a teacher, as students are not logged in to anything, I don't see the data on how well they did, but it's just practice anyway. There are other games, but I might leave them for you to discover if you're at all interested. Another page showing activities. Getting right into adding these animated GIFs, not sure if it's more of a distraction or attention seeking. But in this activity, I have added what Classkick call manipulatives, and they are shown up here on the toolbar. But when the students open this page, they will not be able to move anything around except these boxes down here, because I have added them as manipulatives. So the students need to look what's in the school bag and then add the missing words to create a complete sentence. So they only need 3. I've given 6 to make it a challenge, and then they are required to read aloud or say aloud that sentence and pop their recording here. So it provides me with really quick evidence of their learning or evidence of any issues that they are having with pronunciation or understanding the sentence pattern. So they are some of the activities that I have already created, and I hope it gives you some idea of the possibilities. So I'm just going to go back to this page and say, well, we've had a look at the samples, so I can highlight that. So now I'm just going to go through all the tools that are in this toolbar to explain what they can do. So I have showed you the zoom out and the zoom in button, and it is a feature I like about Classkick, that when you hover over the tools, it actually tells you what they are, so you don't actually have to remember them all. So they're all will be highlighted. So move out, see that long skinny page, or zoom in to get a better view of what it is I want to show you. This selector mode, the selector mode cursor, is really handy. Some students got into pen and then they didn't know how to get out of pen mode. And so all they have to do is go back to click on the selector, and then it's just like having an arrow cursor on your computer. So the first tool next to that is the pen tool, and it allows me to write. But once I've clicked on the pen mode, over here, you can see that there's a pen and it's on black. I can get all different sorts of colours, and I can also get different thicknesses of lines. So I can have from the thickest to the thinnest, and I can write if I so want to. Erase a button, I'll just quickly erase that. Pen mode. The next tool is the highlighter mode. You saw me highlight down here, but again, highlighter there. Over this side, you can see highlighter color. And so I again can choose any colors I'd like to highlight, and from a very thick line to a thin line for highlighting. We'll erase that again. I don't want this page getting too messy. You won't understand what's going on. So recap, we've got zoom out, zoom in, the selector mode, we have a pen tool and color and thickness, highlighter tool, color and thickness, eraser, it is what it is. I can clear all the annotations I've made to the page in one click of that if I want to. The next button is the text box, and I click on the T and I can start typing away. I cannot choose the font, it is what it is. And you can see that's popped up in a red box. That is because that was the last colour I used, but I can have any colour I like, or I can just leave it as a white box. I can also change the color of the font if I want to, and we'll go with a nice blue color. I can also make it smaller, or I can make it larger. You need to resize the box a little bit. And so that's the text tool, text, type, low again. And remember, you can change your text colors. And oh, I just did the same color. That was not smart. And you can change the background color. And of course, you can then drag, while you're in your teacher, in your assignment, in your edit mode, you can drag that text box wherever you would like to position it on the screen. This tool is just a line tool. It's what I use to create lines for students to add their recordings to, or to type responses onto. Again, I can choose the color of the line. I can choose the thickness of the line. I can change the angle of the line, and I can delete the line like that. If I want to delete a text box, you can see as soon as I put my cursor over it, I get a delete option, and away it goes. So text, line, the link, I can say the hello song, and I can get the URL because up here I have a YouTube video clip, and that's a bit interesting because the tools for presenting are covering it up. I wonder, oh, there it is. What I wanted to show you, and I don't think I can because can I move that? Oh yes, I can move that. Sorry about this. I was just going to try to show you that I use a tool called View Pure, and so that when I choose a video and I'm sorry about this, I'm just having trouble seeing. There, Purify. Sorry, can you see that? Can you see my Purify over here? It's up on this heading bar, Purify. So when I click that, it takes me to View Pure. This is free, by the way. And there's the video I want. And my URL now has View Pure written in it. And that means that when the video plays for the students, no other advertising or suggested videos will appear. So I'm going to copy that new link and go back to here and save it. I'm hoping that was clear. To get this Purify little button, go to the View Pure website, and it just on the main page, it will have information, add this button to your, whatever that's called, toolbar, I suppose. And then it makes purifying any YouTube video clip just the matter of a moment. You just have to push that button. And then on my page is the video, and I can play it. And so there it is. But I'm not going to play it all now. So just moving that back up there. So where were we up to with the tools? I had shown you how to add a link, and there it is. And again, I can move it up, but I cannot resize that box. I can delete it, and I can just edit the title, but I'm happy with leaving it like that. So we had the text, we had the line, we have adding a link, and now we have the camera tool. And the camera will actually shine on me. And, oh, I've blocked access to the camera.
I think that's because you're using it using Zoom. That's why that's not
Right.
working. But as long as you explain how that would work, because we had the
All
same
right.
issue with Flipgrid yesterday with Jane.
When I click on camera, normally the camera on my PC focuses on me, and it would focus on a student as well, because they get the same tools, and they could hold up an example of whatever it was that they had made, and take a photo of it and add it to a page. I will possibly not use so much, but this part is so important for me creating these pages, because anything that I have saved, I can select and add, and I can just select part of this image or the whole image, and I'm just going to add that one, and it will be added directly to my page. I can resize it. This is a word find, and I can reposition it on the page. So what I've been doing is, most of my students in the past have used paper workbooks that I've created, and I use Smart Notebook software for presentation. So I've been taking screenshots of all these different things and then saving them as images, and then I can really quickly and easily add them to my Classkick pages. So that was using the camera and uploading any image you have saved on your computer at all, or it's where I have also made now a little folder of animations, and these are animations that I have found. I just search, for example, listen animated GIF. These are all GIF files, and cute little Pikachu, and I can add him to my page as well. So there he is, and again I can resize and reposition him. Maybe he's doing the word search. So there is Pikachu.
Jan, can I just ask
Yes.
a couple of questions from the chat?
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yes.
So we've had the question, can you add a Word doc into a Classkick, or does it have to be an image?
As far as I know, it has to be an image, but you could take a screenshot of your Word doc. I will show you later how you can upload full PDF files. They become backgrounds for the pages.
That's excellent. And is there a limit for how long you can record for with the camera? Do you know? No.
Sorry, with this camera, or do you mean the audio recording?
I think either, actually. We've had a question from Nicole.
Okay, so with the audio, as far as I found, there's no limit to the length of the recording. The camera does not record video for the students. It will take a still shot.
Fantastic.
Does that answer the question?
Yep, that's perfect. And the last one is, are there a bank of resources that come with Classkick for you to access, or is it all your own content you're uploading?
They have a section on the website where, like a library of pre-existing activities. I searched for Japanese, nothing. French, only a couple. I didn't look for Spanish or anything else. It seemed pretty limited at this stage, but if we all got on and started sharing our resources, then I suppose the library would get fuller, so people didn't have to start from scratch. I've actually been having great fun making these activities from scratch, repositioning things, changing colours, adding GIFs and images and so on. But I suppose it depends what your preferences are,
of course,
how much time you have. Although I really don't think it takes long to set these pages up. If you already have pre-existing resources that you'd normally be using in your class anyway, you're just converting them to a form that's acceptable in this tool.
That's excellent. So thank you so much. So yeah, feel free to carry on. I just thought we'd ask those questions there and then, if that's okay. Thank you.
No, that's a good idea. So I had done the camera, and so then if I click on the microphone over on the side, I'm hoping you can see that there's the microphone and it says start recording. Minasan, konnichiwa, Chama Sensei here. And I push stop. Classkick processes that and it just drops it randomly on the page. That's where you need to drag it. And if I click, Minasan, konnichiwa, Chama Sensei here. You can see that that's really, really quick and easy to make an audio recording. I will speak later, but just in case I forget, the tool allows teachers to give audio feedback so quickly and simply to work that students have completed, rather than writing any sort of long note about what students did well, where they need to go to next, what the issues were. An audio recording would save, I think, a lot of time. So we've done the camera, the microphone, and now the manipulatives. I'm just going to move down this page so I've got a bit of free space here. And when I click on it, it actually shows you the general idea of what a manipulative is. And you can see this is a super simple activity, but students are moving letters to spell words. And that's fine for 5-year-olds. If you're dealing with 15-year-olds, you might be having sentences that students need to move into a sequence to make a narration or a recount of a day in the life of somebody or other. It might be moving complete words into correct sentence pattern order. So it doesn't have to be as basic as this, but what it's asking me to do is to select a file. And again, I have saved these files as images. And so I'm just going to go back into my little Classkick folder where I'm saving all bits of screenshots here. And I thought I'd just use this file, which says arigato, thank you, in Japanese. And it wants me to drag to select or click to select all. And I'm actually, first of all, going to select all. And sorry, I'm actually going to highlight all of it like that, and then go to next. And I want it to go onto my current page, so that's all good. And then it asks me, do you want to add something else? Well, yes, I do, because what I'm wanting the students to do is to move these individual hiragana to spell the word. So I've just highlighted one. And yes, onto the same page, and I'm going to do another one, and I'll just do one more to give you the general idea. And so I can keep highlighting whatever I want from that image, and then I'd actually need all 5, but for time's sake, here we go. And it's processing that, and it added the full image and then the little bits. And those little bits on students' pages will be able to be manipulated. This will not be able to be moved around by students. This, however, sorry, that's a mistake. This would be able to be moved by students, not that they need to. These, however, can be, and for my 5-year-olds, just getting used to looking at Japanese writing, all I simply want them to do is find the symbols that are the same and move them into position. So a very simple task, But as I said, they don't have to be as basic as that. On the student pages, those will be able to be moved around. They are called manipulatives, add manipulatives. This box says add fill in the blank, and I can create a box, and when I do so it says add an acceptable answer. Well, I really need to think of what the question might be. So if students have been doing numbers, for example, in the unit on year levels, I'm just going up to the text, sorry, because I'm needing to type in Japanese. And say they're in year 4, I type in 4, and I have Japanese number 4 here. It's a bit small, so I'm going to enlarge that a bit and make it a bit more colourful so they can see it. And then if my question is, what number is this? And students have to type into that box, the only acceptable answer is 4, and I add that. I'll just get out of Japanese keyboard here. And then this becomes a self-correcting response. I don't have to correct it when students fill this in. If they type in 4, the box will go green. They know they get it right. If it goes red, they will realise that they have made an error, and I can set points. It's only one thing, so I would set a point for that activity. You can have total points for the page as a way of providing feedback if you would like to do it that way. So that is a self-filling box. Obviously, for me, my students do not know how to enable the Japanese keyboard on their iPads or their PCs. We haven't ever done that at school. In languages that use the same alphabet, obviously you could have, pardon me, a whole English sentence typed, and as a translation activity, students could write the whole sentence in French, for example. And then you would have to add what the acceptable answers were. Capital letters and accent marks are important. If not, then you can add various different acceptable answers, and they will all be marked as correct depending on how lenient or strict you are. So that is what those dotty boxes are. Add, fill in the blank. And then this is the multiple choice tool. And if I just use that number 4, drag it down here, and I need to ask, what is this number? And I'm very big there. So what is this number? And I've got A, B, C, D, and E. Oh, run out of space. What have I done?
Can I just ask you a couple of questions, Jan,
Yes.
at this point? Is that okay? So Belinda's asked, can you have more than one answer? Would you have to have the word for as well, for instance?
No, you just need to specify what you'll accept as correct answers. So the teacher needs to decide all the variations that will be acceptable. And when they type over on this side here, you can type in what you think will be acceptable.
Perfect. And Verona has asked, how did you activate the self-fulfilling box to pop up?
I went up here where it says add, fill in the blank.
Perfect. That's lovely. I think that's all the questions so far. That's excellent. Thank you so much. This is wonderful. Thank you.
Good. So I have to create the multiple choice like this, and I can nominate whatever it is I would like to be the correct answer. So let's just make it D. And so D has to be 4 because that's the correct answer. And then I can just go back and put other alternatives in. And 7. And so now I've nominated D is correct. It's only right or wrong, so I'll just give it 1 point. and save. And when students see this, did you see then that it went underneath? That is just something that I realized that the pages make like layers. So what I can do is actually I can just cut that, she says. Control X. No, I can't. Well, it doesn't actually matter. I could just put it above, or I could just quickly type another text box here. It's just something to realize that's going to disappear at this stage. I have been able to cut them before, but anyway, on the students page, D won't be highlighted. They'll all just be white. And when they click on D, the D will turn green and they know they have it correct. So that is the multiple choice. This is adding stickers, and you are able to create your own stickers. You can see here I have created stickers written in Japanese. Well done and wow, amazing. I've also created them in English. It already comes with a number of just plain stickers. And you click on them and then click on the students' work and it will be added. So it adds a really quick type of feedback. I realized many students last term didn't read the instructions, and so they missed the bit where it said add your recordings. So rather than typing on every student's page, where are your recordings, don't forget to do the recordings, I just made a sticker, snapped it onto the page, and very quick way to correct or add feedback to students. I just can't show you that at the moment because we're not in a student mode. So the very last thing on this toolbar is background, and Classkick give you a number of already existing backgrounds. And I'm just going to go to the next page, if I can see it. Here, because I have a blank page, and I can show you some of them. So there is lined paper, there is dotted graph sort of paper, there's a Venn diagram. You might need to sort, I don't know, nouns and adjectives, or fruit and vegetables, or I'm not sure what would be in the middle. There is a rather nice exit ticket, and you could create some sort of a poll there where students indicate maybe their feelings around the activity, or answer to a question. Then there are just some pretty background papers. The cool thing is that you can import your own background. And so what I have done is to create a page that lets my students know that they have got to the end of an assignment, because in Classkick's free mode, which I have been using, you only get 20 assignments. And at the start, I thought this is going to be a huge problem. I have 14 classes. That's one assignment. What happens in week 2? But what I have realized is that I can just keep adding pages. This current assignment has 6 pages, but I can just keep adding and adding and adding pages. So after what I consider to be 1 lesson's worth of activity, I'm going to add this page. I'm just going to type in whatever assignment number it is. So congratulations on finishing assignment number 1. And that is huge. So I can make that smaller. And then I just want them to choose one of the pen tools and indicate what they thought of the activities. So I just get a little bit of quick feedback to tell me how they're going, although I can quickly see how they've replied and responded. So that also is great feedback. Lets me know what I need to concentrate on, perhaps in a video tutorial or in a live Zoom meeting opportunity. So I have created this. It just saves me creating this same page over and over again. So if you have pages that you think you would use for many classes, take a screenshot of them and then import them as a background. And that's just as easy as clicking on the import background button. So that is the toolbar. So if I go back to our second page.
Jan, can I just ask you
Yes.
another question from the chat?
Yep.
So Christine has asked, can you still access the students' work recording after they have locked out?
Yes, the teacher can access the students' work at any time, either during the students working on it or at any time afterwards.
Awesome.
And actually what I was going to say was having only one assignment per class means that they can always check back to an earlier assignment, which might become a reference tool for them, a bit like having an exercise book in class. If you can't remember what the vocabulary was, you can go back earlier and check what you had written down. So I think having all my classes in the one assignment could be a really useful experience for the students, as long as they know which assignment number they are up to. And so I will be creating title pages. I think here is assignment number 2, and so on. So there is no confusion of where we are up to. I would love you now, what time do we have? 10 minutes, to see if you can experience Classkick yourselves. So what I need to do is to go out of my assignment and go to home, and this is what my dashboard looks like. It has the assignments that I have created, and there is our Classkick webinar assignment. And if I click on that, there are the pages that I've talked to you about. But I want to actually share this with students, pretending you're students here, and then it has automatically created a class code for me. Now, I don't know, Joe, if you can maybe get a hands up or some idea if anybody has actually got the Classkick app organised.
So I put the Classkick app link in the chat. So hopefully some people have downloaded it. I can see that Michael has, Verona has.
Onto
So
an iPad.
let's go, yeah, either onto an iPad, or they're saying yes, but they could use the Chrome browser as well, I presume. So yeah,
yes.
Let's go for it.
Okay.
And if you want to go over slightly, Jan, as long as you're happy to do that, then we're happy to have you for as long as you would like. And if people want to leave early, we will understand.
All right. Thank you, Joe. I just didn't know whether I tried mirroring my iPad to show people, but maybe it will be better for the participants to see the teacher view while they're actually doing the activity. There might be too many things going on my screen for them to see what's happening. So if they're in the app, all they need to do is to put in that code and then their name or any name they want to be known as tonight. And if they're in the Chrome browser, then again, it's still the same code and the same deal. So if I click off that, I'm able to view student work. And hopefully we get a few people. Look at this. Okay, so some people have logged on already. Lots of you, well done. And what you need to do is skip to page 3. You don't need to do anything on my first 2 pages. So move along to page 3 and there are some activities for you to do. And if you actually, oh, sorry, not page 3, it must be page 4, I beg your pardon, page 4. Go on to page 4 like Belinda has. Page 4, guys, go on to page 4, that's it. Because there is your first activity. And it asks you to type type in for me how you say thank you in whatever language it is you teach. So I'm actually on Anna's page. Anna hasn't started typing yet. She'll need to go up to the text box and click on that and start typing to do that activity. If I scroll down, oh look, I can see Belinda has filled something in. She's actually used a pen tool, didn't do the text tool typing, but that's fine. Thank you, merci. So then, that's my best French. So then I can go to my stickers and I can say, well done, or nice job. Oh, my text box is up here. You need to get into the cursor tool, not the pen tool. You're in the pen mode, that's why it's scribbling on the page. Does that help you, Belinda? I don't know. I don't know if people saw me adding the sticker. And she needs to be ready to record. I can go back, see what other people have written. Have we got any more text boxes filled in? Oh, there's a text box filled in. Okay, that looks very neat. And I can say, well completed. And oh, we've added arranged those. So that's a super job. Wow. Great job. I can't make these bigger or smaller. So great job for you, Esther. Well done. And I can just keep going down. Oh, there's somebody else finished. And oh, we have lots of French teachers. So I'll give you a heart, and hasn't arranged the letters yet. It is something students need to be aware of about moving down the page. I did have quite a few students only complete the top parts of my pages in the first lesson. So that was something I learnt I needed to remind them to do. We have somebody here who has actually written some Japanese writing. So what a great effort that is. Well done to you. Not sure about the multiple choice. The answer's on the previous page. So if you go back, you will see what the word for thank you looks like, and then you can select the correct letter.
Jan, in the chat, some people are saying that they can't record themselves because I've got them muted. Do you think that's because Zoom is trying to use the microphone for the Zoom session plus Classkick?
Yes.
It probably is,
Yeah.
isn't it? So in a real
probably
classroom situation, as long as the teacher unmutes everybody to record, I don't want to do that right now because people can record on their iPads if they have a second device, but in a real remote teaching context, people could unmute the microphone so that the students can then record themselves and then mute it again afterwards.
Yes, I've actually set these to be done not within a Zoom meeting anyway, so there's not been an issue with the microphone because we're not jumping between Zoom. I would introduce the task in Zoom, get out of Zoom and let students go to whatever device they're using to complete their Classkick activity. And then that gives me a chance to add feedback. I did want to say that while you're working away, I don't know if you've noticed, you have the option of putting up your hand and you can ask for help, and I get a notification that somebody's asking for help on a page and I can help them directly. That is up at the top. Oh, I have 3 people now asking for help, so I can click on them, and Joe Dale wants me to help him on page 4. So I can go to page 4 and I can see, I wonder what the problem is, and I could actually I could ask him, what's the problem, Joe? So what help do you need? And then that message has gone to Joe and his hand's gone down. And so that is really handy for students who get stuck. If the teacher is online at the same time students are doing the activity, if you're not online while they're doing the activity, and I have 14 classes, so students may or may not do the activities in their allotted times table, I will still see that they had hands up on certain pages, so I can still respond, but it will be later. And I'm letting students go back to their assignments and edit and redo things they missed out on, rather than just saying, oh, well, you didn't do it, you get no points, and we're done. I'd much rather them actually have the experience of doing whatever the task is. In Classkick, there is an option that teachers can also select to have peer helping. And so when a hand goes up, one of the classmates can offer advice. But because I haven't ever demonstrated in class face-to-face time how this all works, I don't want students offering advice because I can not monitor what it is they're saying to each other. And I'm just a little concerned that there could be inappropriate messaging going backwards and forwards. So I have disallowed that.
Jan, we've just got another couple of questions, if that's okay.
Sure.
So, for example, Laura's asked, hi, Jan, just wondering how students return to an assignment.
They just log back in using that same code. And I have put their class codes in our school learning management system on their Japanese page for each class. And I've put that prominently because each assignment's code stays the same. It doesn't matter how many times you go in and out, it's always the same code for that class's assignment.
Perfect. And to register classes, you just need to give them the code. Is that right? You don't need to create like a roster list, as it were.
Right. So that was where I was going next. So people have had a play. If I go back home on my screen, here are rosters. And this is where I've created classes. And if I want to add a new class, I just click on this and I want a new roster. And I'm just going to call it demo. And I need to add students. Now, in my basic version, it says just type them in with a comma. Having 310 students, I thought that wasn't the most time-saving plan. So what I discovered was that I can add students by copying Excel lists. All our classes are in Excel spreadsheet format, and I've just made a dummy one to show you, but I can just copy students, and we're only using first names, and then go here and paste them in much quicker than typing, but I still have to add commas. And there may be a quick way of doing this. I don't actually know it. I'd love to know if anybody knows how to do this. But I'll just do those three and then click add. And then I now have students in the class. I only have those three because I only put commas after those three names. I can always add more later. But that just shows you how easy it is to add students to a class. And now, I have my demo class, there it is there. And if I want to get an assignment to them, sorry, I'm jumping around. I just can't think of how I add the assignment, which is really terrible. Maybe I need to have a new activity for them because I don't want to add any of my existing games to this demo class. So I'll just make a new activity calling it demo task. and I won't actually put anything in there, but I will show you what happens. So the demo task is there. I click on this. I need to assign it to students, and I need to assign it to a roster. So I need to go down the roster, remember, in my classes. So I'm looking for that demo class. And now my demo class, the 3 children in that have a new code to get into that assignment.
That's fantastic. Anne's asked the question, can anyone who has the code gain entry even if they're not in the class?
Well, they could. They could, and I'm really hoping that students don't share codes, although we've siblings in various classes, so I suppose the potential for that, so that is a possibility. I can delete students who enter with silly names, and that is something that I have stressed for this coming week, that students must log in using the same name every time. So for my students, that is their first name as it appears on our school roll. No nicknames, no use of emoji, or no calling yourself Jan one time you log in and then Jan C another time you log in, because Classkick will think that's 2 different people, and you won't be able to see the work you did previously as Jan if you log in as Jan C. And so I had a number of students, they logged in 3 times, and each time they logged in, they probably thought, oh, it didn't save my work. It did, but it just, they had accessed Classkick using yet another name. Just thinking of saving, that is a really cool feature about Classkick, is every change I make to an assignment is automatically saved, and everything a student does is also automatically saved. They do not have to push save at the end of an assignment. Classkick has already done that for them. That takes a bit of pressure off, I think.
That's brilliant. So can you modify the assignment after you assign it? Is that right?
Yes, I can. I can actually even modify it while the students are undertaking it. If I'm in edit mode, I could add an extra instruction, and then it would appear in real time on their pages.
Amazing. And it keeps the same code, presumably?
Yes.
Yeah. That's awesome. I think those are all the questions. This is wonderful. I mean, this is, I just want to carry on watching. So I'm more than happy for you to carry on showing us any other top tips. This is great. The feedback in the chat has been amazing. So thank you.
That's my pleasure. If I just go back then to my webinar, I will see, I think actually I've shown you everything that I had planned to show, but I would be interested to hear the feedback. For me, with teaching those 14 classes and timetabled for only an hour a week, I think in this one tool, I can have students doing such a variety of activities and having links to videos and to game activities. I could put Quizlet games in here, or Kahoots or GimKits, where the students can work independently, not as a class activity. I just feel that it is just so handy to have everything there together in the one place, rather than saying to students, okay, go here and do this activity here and then load it to somewhere else, and then you need to make a recording here and then load that to some other place. And especially in the primary setting, children can get lost as to what activities are where do they find them, how do they save them. For me, everything's in the one spot, and it makes it really easy for me to view their work. I can, with view work, show you the class list. These are students who have completed the task already from last term. And at the moment, I'm viewing all slides. And I initially corrected one student going slide by slide by slide. But then I discovered I could just look at slide 3. And then all the students' answers to slide 3 popped up. and so it was easy for me to focus. You can see some students didn't get onto the activity, but this was their very first week of Learn at Home, so there were all sorts of things going on. So I was actually pleased I had so much respondents, so many respondents as I did. You can also see students alphabetically. I don't know what that is. Don't think we need to worry about that now. And I can get my sticker pane, all ready to add my feedback. But of course, if I'm on a page of student work, I can push my audio button and mention to them, hey, how come there are no audio recordings here? And so they didn't scroll down, maybe it was too low down and they missed it. So I can add audio feedback really quickly just by hitting record and dropping it onto the page.
This is fantastic, Jan. We've got another couple of questions. We've had a question
Sure.
from Michael asking about, in your experience, how long does it take for the students to pick up how to use Classkick? Do you do sort of like a half training, through a half a lesson to train them up, or do you find that they find it pretty intuitive?
My older students, so years 4, 5, 6, found it intuitive. The younger students had a lot of trouble, and unfortunately I was unwell in the last week and a half of the term, so I was not able to run any Zoom live meetings where I could have demonstrated. And so I've now created a couple of video tutorials really to help the parents, because there was feedback that parents didn't know what to do. And so their students hadn't completed the set task. There was some angst and anxiety at home from children. So in an ideal world, I would certainly have a Zoom meeting demonstrating the key features, or actually showing the assignment that you're setting them and explaining to them what they need to do. With a couple of the assignments that I set for the younger children, for their very first assignment, I got them using some of the tools, like choose the highlighter tool, colour this thing in pink, and then change the highlighter colour, make it blue, and colour whatever it was on the page blue. And so that way I was training them to use different tools while they were completing a very simple little Japanese activity.
That's fantastic. That's absolutely brilliant. Can I ask you a few more questions, if that's okay?
Certainly.
So let me have a right. So Tina asks, how do the students recognize your audio responses? Do they just look like all your other audios? If so, they might miss them.
So then I would put a little text box saying new, or check it out, or something like that. I'm not sure if I'm able to send them a message via the hands up.
No, I think that's text chat only, isn't it? Not audio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would have to notify them. We have a social stream on our learning management system for each class. So I could have a list of students, go back and check your Classkick assignment number 2 to see my video response, or something like that, I suppose I could do.
Okay, perfect. Talking about notifications, do the students get a notification once you've added comments or stickers, is another question.
I don't know.
I love that answer. That's great. So we need to find that out. Justin asked about, for the demo task that you mentioned, could you show us how we can find that?
The webinar task?
Well, Justin's written the demo task.
Well, the demo task has nothing in it, but
Okay.
maybe
so,
they mean the Classkick webinar. They just need so they just need the same code as they entered before, this one.
I see. Right. Okay. And Michael's asked whether it's possible to have access to the tutorials you did for parents, but I presume that's private content. But at the same time, presumably, if you go onto YouTube, you can find tutorials for Classkick as well.
Yes, Classkick have their own tutorials, and then there are lots of other YouTube people who've put demonstrations on there. Classkick have a help sort of support page with lots of topics and little video clips, so adding rosters, adding assignments, adding manipulatives, creating audio, all those little things. I don't really think you need my tutorial for the parents.
No, that's fine. And I think that the fact we're recording this is just amazing, so I would encourage people to watch it back and then have a play, get used to it, and then go for it. So would you say you could use this in a live class synchronously as well as asynchronously?
Yes, yeah. You could.
Brilliant. I'll just see if there's any other questions. I hope I've covered everything. Let's have a look. Someone was saying about copying and pasting feedback. Is that possible? I'm not sure if I've asked you that one already. Can
yes.
you copy and paste feedback?
Yes, you can. And yes, between students, you can copy a text box and then paste it onto somebody else if they are getting the same feedback. Yes, you can.
Lovely. And Verona has asked, can you add the same sticker to all page 3 at the same time? I think she means all the pages at the same time.
No.
So when she says stickers, I'm not sure if she means the Bitmojis. Verona,
no.
Yeah. Is that what she means by stickers?
I think she probably means the Classkick stickers. Okay. And as far as I know, you can only add them one page at a time. So no, I can't say assign heart sticker to page 3 of everybody. I don't think that would work.
Fine. I think that's all the questions. If anyone has any other burning questions, please do put them in the chat right now. But I think we should all thank Jan very warmly for this fantastic presentation. I think that, well, it seems to be that all the Australian people in the chat know Classkick already, but I would imagine that most people from the UK don't know Classkick. And I can see from the chat that lots of people are going to try it out and familiarize them. So thank you so much for this this presentation. I think that's all. Let me just see. I can see there's a few more messages at the end. Let's just have a quick look. No, people are just saying thank you. Can students change their answers after you've checked their work? From Janine.
You can lock an assignment if you don't wish them to change it. I, at this stage, am letting them go back and change. As I said before, if they've missed activities, I actually want them to do them. So I haven't locked them, but there is a lock setting.
Okay, so Verona has clarified what she means. She says, no, if checked all page 3 of students who completed, so you say good work. I'm not sure. Verona, do you want to open your mic and ask the question? Because I'm not exactly sure what you're asking here.
Yes, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So the question is, okay, as you said, Jan, you've got 1 hour every week that you actually have to go on with these students. Meanwhile, they've got work that's on Classkick that they can go ahead at their own pace. Now, we know with the number of students in the class, and I'm guessing it's the same for a lot of people out there, but let's just say primary. So you get to every class in that school, and that's every class as they get up in the years. Most of them have 27, 28, 29, 30 kids. So I'm asking, in the greater picture, we would normally in that setting do an end of term bookwork check, because we know that we've got to see that they're on that. But what I'm hearing from you is, if you're going in and checking every single page, when you can't do that within an hour, and you're not doing that in the hour that you've got them. And that just cumulatively with all those classes, I'm sort of going, wow, where does that time come from?
Yes, that came from my spare time during our recent holidays, and it did take a long time to check them. But I am looking at ways of streamlining it, and I might see if what you're asking is possible, but I would need to play around a bit and maybe message Joe if I find a quick way of adding a stamp to everybody's assignment. When they get to the end of the congratulations page, you've got to the end of assignment 1, and I just want to add well done or good job or great effort or something. I want to see if I can just add that to everybody's, and then maybe go back and just take it off a couple of people who maybe didn't do a great job. But yes, you have to stay tuned on that because I don't know.
Thanks. Even if it was like in your stickers, you've got, I can see you've completed page 1, good work. Next one, I can see you've completed page 2, good work. That sort of monitoring thing, just an in and out, without you having to take on that it's just a huge burden. What's going on is a huge burden.
Yes. Usually in a classroom setting, as students are completing workbook tasks, I'm zooming around, putting quick ticks here and there, you know, the date stamp, just checking in with students. But, and so I don't need to take those workbook home and correct page after page for every class, for every lesson, because I've actually done quick checks during the lesson. Here I can do some quick checks, but I will not be able to do it all, as you said, with my biggest classes are 25, but it takes a bit of time.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Verona, for your question. I can see that Mama Casa has asked the question, do you use this platform for a live scheduled class, or do you use Zoom and they use Classkick to do their work in?
I need to say that I am only new to using Classkick myself on this scale. I played around with it a couple of years ago, but then really didn't have the opportunity of implementing it in my class. But now with Learn at Home, that is why I have gone back into and learned how to use it. I will not be using it in live sessions. In live sessions, I want us to play some live online game or revise vocabulary and some reading tasks together at touch base. And then they do these Classkick activities afterwards. So my Zoom lesson will not be an hour, it may be 10 minutes. And then the rest of their allocated time will be for them completing Classkick.
With a review at the end, possibly on Zoom, would you say?
Yes, it would be nice if I can organise that to get back on at the end for a quick review and a sayonara and see you next week.
That's perfect. I think we'll have one more question, if that's okay, which is the following. What someone's asked about what's the difference between the free version and the pro version? Is it just the number of assignments you can have?
Pretty much. But if you go online, you'll be able to click on what you get for the pro version, but pro is unlimited assignments. And I didn't find out much more than that, actually.
That's fine.
And if you want to go pro, it's a per month fee, depending on the number of students you have.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. Right, I think everyone should turn their video on, turn their videos on now if they'd like to, and unmute themselves, and we'll give Jan a very well-deserved round of applause for her amazing session. That's just been wonderful, Jan. Thank you so much. Amazing. Fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody. And just to clarify, as I've said, I will be sharing the video on my YouTube channel later on, but that's been really amazing. And I think it's opened people's eyes to how you can use Classkick in a remote teaching context. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you for being there and helping with all those questions.
That's fine. No problem at all. Excellent. Okay, so the next one, the next Tilt webinar is hang on, what day are we on today? It's Tuesday. It's Thursday. It's Thursday, and we have Miss Salgado, who's going to be talking about all the different ways in which she's using technology in the classroom, and that's going to be amazing. So we'll see you. We'll see you on Esmeralda Salgado on Thursday, and there's a Linguascope webinar as well that Isabel Jones is doing between 5 and 6. So you might want to go to 2 webinars on the same day. But thank you ever so much, everyone. And a huge thanks to Jan for sharing her lovely ideas around using Classkick. Amazing. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop recording now, and then we'll say our goodbyes.